Flattery is like friendship in show, but not in fruit. Follow the argument wherever it leads. And of course, 4 things belong to a judge: to hear courteously, to answer wisely, to consider soberly, and to decide impartially. From the deepest desires often come the deadliest hate. Get married. In any case, if you happen to get a good mate, you will be happy. If a bad one, you will become philosophical, which is a fine thing in itself. Give me beauty in the inward soul, and may the outward and inward may be one. Go wherever the facts lead. Happiness is unrepented pleasure. He is the richest who is content with the least. He is a man of courage who does not run away, but remains at his post and fights against the enemy. He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. I'm a citizen of the world, and my nationality is goodwill. How can you call a man free when his pleasures rule over him? I'm a fool, but I know I'm a fool, and that makes me smarter than you. I am very conscious that I am not wise at all. I call myself a peaceful warrior because the battles we fight are on the inside. I do nothing but go about persuading you all, old and young alike, not to take thought for your persons or your properties, and chiefly to care about the greatest improvement of the soul. I have not sought during my life to amass wealth and to adorn my body, but I have sought to adorn my soul with the jewels of wisdom, patience, and above all, with a love of liberty. I don't care what people say about me. I do care about my mistakes. I have lived long enough to learn how much there is I can really do without he is nearest to God who needs the fewest things. I know that I'm intelligent because I know that I know nothing. I know you won't believe me, but the highest form of human excellence is to question oneself and others. I only wish that ordinary people had an unlimited capacity for doing harm. Then they might have an unlimited power for doing good. I prefer to be refuted than to refute, for it is a greater good for oneself to be freed from the greatest evil than to free another. I shall never fear or avoid things of which I do not know. If a man comes to the door of poetry untouched by the madness of the muses, believing that technique alone will make him a good poet, he and his sane compositions never reach perfection, but are utterly eclipsed by the performances of the inspired madman. If what you want to tell me is neither true nor good nor even useful, why tell it to me at all? If one knows what is right, he will do it. Nobody wants to be evil. If you can do only a little, do what you cannot enforce. Do not command. If you want to be wrong, then follow the masses. If he who does not know kept silent, discord would cease. It is best and easiest not to discredit others, but to prepare oneself to be as good as possible. If a man is proud of his wealth, he should not be praised until it is known how he employs it. Improve yourself by other men's writings, thus attaining effortlessly what they acquired through great difficulty. If you would seek health, look first to the spine. In childhood be modest, in youth temperate, in adulthood just, and in old age prudent. In every person there is a sun, just let them shine. It is a disgrace to grow old through sheer carelessness before seeing what manner of man you may become by developing your bodily strength and beauty to their highest limit. It is better to suffer an injustice than to commit one. It is better to make a mistake with full force of your being than to carefully avoid mistakes with a trembling spirit. Lies are the greatest murder, they kill the truth. Let us reflect in this way too, that there is good hope that death is a blessing, for it is one of two things. Either the dead are nothing and have no perception of anything, or it is, as we are told, a change and a relocation for the soul from here to another. Life without inquiry is not worth living for a man. Most people, including ourselves, live in a world of relative ignorance. We are even comfortable with that ignorance, because it is all we know when we first start facing truth. The process may be frightening, and many people run back to their old lives. But if you continue to seek truth, you will eventually be able to handle it better. In fact, you want more. It's true that many people around you now may think you are weird or even a danger to society, but you don't care once you've tasted the truth. You won't ever want to go back to being ignorant. Musical training is a more potent instrument than any other, because rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul, on which they mightily fasten, imparting grace, and making the soul of him who is rightly educated graceful, or of him who is ill-educated ungraceful. My belief is that to have no wants is divine. My friend, care for your psycho know thyself, for once we know ourselves, we may learn how to care for ourselves. No citizen has a right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. What a disgrace it is for a man to grow old without ever seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. No man undertakes a trade he has not learned, even the meanest. Yet everyone thinks himself sufficiently qualified for the hardest of all trades, that of government. No one can teach. If by teaching we mean the transmission of knowledge in any mechanical fashion from one person to another, the most that can be done is that one person who is more knowledgeable than another can, by asking a series of questions, stimulate the other to think, and so cause him to learn for himself. No one does wrong voluntarily. Not life, but good life is to be chiefly valued. It is not living that matters, but living rightly the unexamined life is not worth. Nothing is so well learned as that which is discovered. Obligation sends the children to bed on time, but love tucks the covers in around their necks and passes out kisses and hugs. Yesterday is about experience. Tomorrow is about hope. Today is about transitioning from one to the other. The happiest people on earth don't have the best of everything, they make the best of everything. I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. Obscurity is dispelled by augmenting the light of discernment, not by attacking the darkness. Only the extremely ignorant or the extremely intelligent can resist change. Only the knowledge that comes from inside is the real knowledge. Ordinary people seem not to realize that those who really apply themselves in the right way to philosophy are directly and of their own accord preparing themselves for dying and death. Our lives are but specks of dust falling through the fingers of time like sands of the hourglass. So are the days of our lives. Our prayers should be for blessings in general, for God knows best what is good for us. People learn more on their own rather than being force-fed. Prefer knowledge to wealth, for the one is transitory, the other perpetual. Regard your good name as the richest jewel you can possibly be possessed of. Remember, no human condition is ever permanent. Then you will not be overjoyed in good fortune, nor too scornful in misfortune. Serenity, regularity, absence of vanity, sincerity, simplicity, veracity, equanimity, fixity, non-irritability, adaptability, humility, tenacity, integrity, nobility, magnanimity, charity, generosity, purity practiced daily. These 18 itties you will soon attain immortality. She soars on her own wings. Silence is a profound melody. For those who can hear it above all the noise. Since all of us desire to be happy, and since we evidently become so on account of our use, that is our good use, of other things, and since knowledge is what provides this goodness of use and also good fortune, every man must, as seems plausible, prepare himself by every means for this, to be as wise as possible, right? Sometimes you have to let go to see if there was anything worth holding on to. The beginning is the most important part, especially when dealing with anything young and tender. The body cannot be cured without regard for the soul. The cure of many diseases remains unknown to the physicians of Hellas, Greece, because they do not study the whole person. The easiest and noblest way is not to be crushing others, but to be improving yourselves. The first key to greatness is to be in reality what we appear to be. It is never right to do wrong or to requite wrong with wrong, or when we suffer evil to defend ourselves by doing evil in return. It is possible that a man could live twice as long if he didn't spend the first half of his life acquiring habits that shortens the other half. But knowing thyself is the height of wisdom. Let the questions be the curriculum. Malice drinketh up the greater part of its own poison. Man must rise above the earth, to the top of the atmosphere and beyond, for only thus will he fully understand the world in which he lives. Man's life is like a drop of dew on a leaf. Marry a good woman and be happy the rest of your life, or marry a bad and become a good philosopher? Marry or marry? Not. In any either case, you'll regret it. The friend must be like money, that before you need it, the value is no. The greatest of all mysteries is the man himself. The greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be. The heart of the person before you is a mirror. See there your own form. The highest realms of thought are impossible to reach without first attaining an understanding of compassion. The individual leads in order that those who are led can develop their potential as human beings and thereby the life of which meaning one never ponders is not worth living. The man who is truly wise knows that he knows very little. The misuse of language induces evil in the soul. The more I learn, the less I realize I know. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. There is only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. The perfect human being is all human beings put together. It is a collective. It is all of us together that make perfection. The real artist, who knew what he was imitating, would be interested in realities and not in imitations, and would desire to leave as memorials of himself works many and fair. And instead of being the author of encomiums, he would prefer to be the theme of them. The real danger in life is not death, but living an evil life. The really important thing is not to live, but to live well, and to live well meant, along with more enjoyable things in life, to live according to your principles. The reason why we have to acquire wealth is the body, because we are slaves in its service. The same wind is blowing, and yet one of us may be cold, and the other? The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy life. The true wisdom is in recognizing our own ignorance. The understanding of mathematics is necessary for a sound grasp of ethics. The unexamined life is not worth living. The uninitiated are those who believe in nothing except what they can grasp in their hands, and who deny the existence of all that is invisible. The universe really is motion, nothing else. The wise man seeks death all his life, and for this reason death is not terrifying to him. The years wrinkle our skin, but lack of enthusiasm wrinkles our soul. The young people of today think of nothing but themselves. They have no reverence for parents. Or old age, they are impatient of all restraint. They talk as if they alone knew everything, and what passes for wisdom with us is foolishness with them as for girls. They are forward, immodest and unwomanly in speech, behavior and dress. There are two kinds of disease of the soul: vice and ignorance. There is but one evil: ignorance. There is no greater magnificence than to defeat oneself. That is the magnificence. There is no illness of the body except for the mind. There is no learning without remembering. There is no possession more valuable than a good and faithful friend. There's no good answer to a question you didn't hear. They are not only idle who do nothing, but they are idle also who might be better employed. Think not those faithful who praise all thy words and actions, but those who kindly reprove thy faults. This is a universe that does not favor the timid. Those who want the fewest things are nearest to the gods. Through your rags, I see your vanity. To believe without evidence and demonstration is an act of ignorance and folly. To fear death is nothing other than to think oneself wise when one is not for it, is to think one knows what one does not know. No one knows whether death may not even turn out to be the greatest blessings of human beings, and yet people fear it as if they knew for certain it is the greatest evil. To fear death, my friends, is only to think ourselves wise without being wise. For it is to think that we know what we do not know for anything that men can tell. Death may be the greatest good that can happen to them, but they fear it as if they knew quite well that it was the greatest of evils. And what is this but that shameful ignorance of thinking that we know what we do not know? To find yourself, think for yourself. To harm another is to harm oneself, and to move the world, we must move ourselves. True knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing. True knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing and in knowing that you know nothing. That makes you the smartest of all. True wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us. True wisdom lies in one's confession about the limits of one's knowledge. Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep when she wants her well. Understanding a question is half an answer. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit. We are what we think we are. We can do nothing without the body. Let us always take care that it is in the best condition to sustain us. We shall be better, braver, and more active if we believe it right to look for what we don't know. Wealth does not bring goodness, but goodness brings wealth and every other blessing, both to the individual and to the state. What a lot of things I don't need. What is happening to our young people? They disrespect their elders, they disobey their parents, they ignore the law, they riot in the streets. Inflamed with wild notions, their morals are decaying. What is to become of them? What most counts is not merely to live, but to live right. When a woman is allowed to become a man's equal, she becomes his superior. When I was young, I believed that life might unfold in an orderly way, according to my hopes and expectations, but now I understand that the way winds like a river, always changing, ever onward my journeys revealed that the way itself creates the warrior, that every path leads to peace, every choice to wisdom, and that life has always been and will always be a rising in mystery. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the looser. When you propose ridiculous things to believe, too many men will choose to believe nothing at all. When you want success as badly as you want the air, then you will get it. There is no other secret of success. Whenever, therefore, people are deceived and form opinions wide of the truth, it is clear that the error has slid into their minds through the medium of certain resemblances to that truth. Who knows if to live is to be dead, and to be dead, to live? And we really, it may be, are dead. In fact, I once heard sages say that we are now dead, and the body is our tomb. Whom do I call educated? First, those who manage well the circumstances they encounter day by day next. Those who are decent and honorable in their intercourse with all men, bearing easily and good-naturedly what is offensive in others, and being as agreeable and reasonable to their associates as is humanly possible to be those who hold their pleasures always under control and are not ultimately overcome by their misfortunes, those who are not spoiled by their successes, who do not desert their true selves but hold their ground steadfastly as wise and sober-minded men. Why do you wonder that globetrotting does not help you, seeing that you always take yourself with you? The reason that sets you wandering is ever at your heels. Why should we pay so much attention to what the majority thinks? Wisdom adorneth riches, and casteth a shadow over poverty. What? Wisdom begins in wonder. Wisdom is knowing what you don't know. Worthless people live only to eat and drink. People of worth eat and drink only to live. You don't know what you don't know. You never know a line is crooked unless you have a straight one to put next to it. Young people nowadays love luxury. They have bad manners and contempt for authority. They show disrespect for old people, contradict their parents, talk constantly in front of company, gobble their food, and tyrannize their teachers. A free soul ought not to pursue any study slavishly, for nothing that is learned under compulsion stays with the mind. A A system of morality that is based on relative emotional values is a mere illusion, a thoroughly vulgar conception that has nothing sound in it and nothing true. All that I know is nothing. I'm not even sure of that. All things in moderation, including moderation. All wars are fought for the acquisition of wealth. An education obtained with money is worse than no education at all. An honest man is always a child. Anybody can be a Helen by his heart, his mind, Are not all things which have opposites generated out of their opposites? I know. Are you not ashamed of heaping up the greatest amount of money and honor and reputation and caring so little about wisdom and truth and the greatest improvement of the soul? Awareness of ignorance is the beginning of wisdom. Bad men live that they may eat and drink, whereas good men eat and drink that they may live. Be as you wish to seem. Be of good cheer about death and know this as a truth, that no evil can happen to a good man, either in life or after death. Be of good hope in the face of death, believe in this one truth for certain, that no evil can befall a good man either in life or death, and that his fate is not a matter of indifference to the gods. Be slow to fall into friendship. But when thou art in, continue firm, constant. Be the kind of person that you want people to think you are. Be true to thine own self. Better to do a little well than a great deal badly. Eeyore! Beware the barrenness of a busy life. Contentment is natural wealth. Death offers mankind a full view of truth. Do it because it's in your heart, not because you want something in return. Employ your time in improving yourself by other men's writings so that you shall gain easily what others have labored hard for. Do not be angry with me if I tell you the truth. Do not do to others what angers you if done to you by others. Do not go through life like leaf blown from here to there, believing whatever you are told. Do not grieve over someone who changes all of the sudden. It might be that he has given up acting and returned to his true self. Envy is the ulcer of the soul. Every action has its pleasures and its price. Falling down is not a failure. It comes when you stay where you have fallen. Fear of women, love more than hate the man.